I had a friend ask me a couple of weeks ago, he's like, what weird Venn diagram of nerddom do you have to be in the center of to want Lord of the Rings combined with anime? And I'm like, me, right here. And so I was really hyped, even despite all the people saying, the War of the Rohirrim is gonna suck. It's just another strong independent women who don't need no man movie. It's disrespecting Tolkien's lore again and whatever. I was like, it's so obnoxious, like the articles that I'm seeing on both sides of it, but I'm gonna give it a chance and see how it goes. And I gave it a chance. It wasn't all that good. All right, I wasn't that thrilled with it. I was gonna do a full review, and I'm like, I don't know. It was okay, but I mean, they took a short story and stretched it into an entire feature-length anime movie, and it was okay. And they didn't even take the short story. They took the base of the short story and completely changed it with one character being like the central focus, that she was so unimportant. She had like one sentence or she was involved in one sentence in the short story, and she didn't even get a name. So they had to give this character a name and justify her being the main character and being a strong independent woman who don't need no man. And they made the women the most important thing here in this story. This was a Tolkien story for the girls. It was just not good. I tried really hard not to eye roll, but it was an eye rolling movie. And it seems like a lot of people thought that as well. The scores are not good on review aggregator sites, and we're going to get to that. And we're also going to get to a couple of articles about the War of the Rohirrim. But here, before we do that, my name is Troy from Arc Zone Media. If you could, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to stay up to date every time I post brand new content. But now, let's get into it.
Arc Zone Media.
Alright, Rotten Tomatoes here. Now, the popcorn meter is 82. It's okay. Like I said, the movie doesn't suck. It's just not good. 132 critic reviews for 46%. That's about right. And let's see if they got critical response. The animation, deep cut from the Lord of the Rings mythos, has plenty of spectacle, but its cliched characters and uneven animation resemble middle of the road more than they do Middle Earth. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Some of it was kind of just, I don't know. The characters, like they said, like cliched characters, especially the main female character. It was the typical, they can't find me because I'm off in the woods, dealing with, doing typical boy stuff, but I'm a girl. And they even make a comment, one of the characters, her cousin, I think, makes a comment at one point, when she shows up, she has to wear a dress to this event that is like at the beginning of the movie. And they're like, oh, it's weird to see you without like mud and twigs all over you, whatever, actually wearing a dress looking like a girl. Like, oh my God. How many characters like this are we going to see? And then when they say something about, well, you're the princess, you're going to take over the throne for your dad when he dies or whatever, you got to marry a fellow royalty, whatever, you're going to be married off eventually, and he's going to be the king, and you rule together. That's how things are done. And of course, she rebels. She rages against the system. She's like, oh, but I don't even know if I want to get married. I don't ever want to get married. I just want to be strong, independent women who don't need no man and go play with the Eagles and whatever. Like, every effing movie for the past 10 years has had a main female character like this. It's old and tiring, and Tolkien would have never written a character like this. And then we get the whole subplot about the shield maidens who fought when the men just couldn't get it done and whatever. And then we look to Metacritic here. The Lord of the Rings and War of the Rohirrim, mixed to average reviews, 54. User score, mixed or average, 5.3. Yikes. It's not good. I'll say that. The reviews are middling at best. People just did not like this.
Not great, Bob.
Little White Lies. It's predictably rousing, and Tolkien heads will probably enjoy many of the callbacks to the original trilogy, but as a film of its own right, it is a little overblown and unnecessary. Yeah, you ain't kidding. The AV Club, The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim is a slight Middle-earth adventure that's fleet-footed but inconsequential. Gosh, I can't read.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
There you go. The lovely reviews. Are you all ready to unleash your inner author? Imagine being able to turn your wildest ideas into a bestseller in a flash, like with the speed of Satoru Gojo. Well, it's not just fantasy, it's a reality with Magic BOOKIFIER. This incredible AI tool is like having a writing coach, a research assistant, and a publishing expert all rolled into one. With Magic BOOKIFIER, you can create an entire book in no time, whether it's a novel, a guide, or some crazy idea like Hulk Hogan versus Godzilla. Yes, that's a real idea. The best part, you don't have to be a writer to use it. Just type in your idea and Magic BOOKIFIER will do the rest. It's like having a magic wand for your writing needs. So are you ready to unleash your creativity and write that book you've always dreamed of? Or maybe you want to create a fun guide to your favorite hobby, or even make some money selling an ebook online? Well, now is your chance. Magic BOOKIFIER is offering a special lifetime deal, which means you pay once and use it forever. No subscriptions, no extra costs. That's the deal of a lifetime. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Click my special link down in the video description and make your book dreams come true. Trust me, you won't regret it. This one article from Collider, I just wanted to touch on here real quick, just to, piggyback on the people didn't like it thing. The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim will exit theaters painfully short of one final domestic box office milestone. After opening with only $4.5 million during its first weekend in theaters and a stacked month in December loaded with blockbuster competition, it was clear early on that things weren't going to go swimmingly for The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim at the box office. The film saw a sharp decline, dropping 73% during its second weekend in theaters to only $1.2 million before quickly tapering off below $500,000 for the last two weekends. The film currently sits at $9.1 million from domestic earnings, with $10.8 million in international markets, for a worldwide total of $19.9 million.
You blew it!
Yikes, that is really, really bad. Now that the film is available on digital, it will seemingly exit theaters soon, short of earning $10 million domestically. It's still possible for The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim to hit the $20 million mark at the worldwide box office. The film is less than $100,000 short and can rely on domestic earnings and international markets to help it get across the finish line. The silver lining for the animated Lord of the Rings film is that it only cost $30 million to make, meaning that even though it will finish its theatrical run with box office numbers around the $20 million mark, it won't be that much of a loss for Warner Bros. This is good news for the studio too, which currently is trying to plug the holes left behind by Joker Folie à Deux, the comic book sequel that is expected to cost the studio well over $200 million. Well, it's not that bad, you see. Look, they're not going to lose that much money. How do you fumble a Lord of the Rings film like this?
What we need to do now is get focused and stop pointing fingers. You're a problem. You're a real problem. To those
acting like, it's because it's an anime film, or, it's too far in the past, or, after the movies came out or whatever. None of that is relevant whatsoever. You could have dragged in the anime crowd. You could have dragged in the Lord of the Rings crowd. You could have made it interesting. They just released, it's not anime, but it's animated. They just released two animated, one was a Hobbit film and one was a Lord of the Rings film from the 70s on Max not too long ago. They re-released them on there, and they still hold up. People still love them. I haven't seen what streaming numbers look like, but, I remember growing up, that's all I had until, The Fellowship of the Ring came out, and that's what got me hooked on Tolkien. And you can do it in a proper way, and you could do the anime in a proper way. This was just a terrible story, and they cared more about something that didn't happen. They Rings of Powered it. Now, the only difference is this was actually somewhat interesting, but you relied on cliches that got old 10 years ago, at least, if not longer. It was just a really bad rendition of this story that nobody wanted, and you pissed off all the wrong people. You can't be doing that. I thought Peter Jackson and crew were smarter than that, but apparently not. But let's get into this last article I wanted to touch on just to wrap things up from CBR.com. Lord of the Rings, A War of the Rohirrim failed because it ignored the best part of Lord of the Rings. What is that? Let's see. The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim was meant to successfully transition the world of Middle-earth into the animated medium. Fans and critics both had mixed feelings as its success in the matter, however, especially given how it was all based on material that was barely explored in the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien. There was also a notable absence in the film compared to other entries in the series. War of the Rohirrim lacked any presence or real mention of hobbits.
Excuse me? A baking powder?
That's what you're basing this on? Not enough hobbits? Despite how important they are in the franchise's overall story. To some extent, this made sense, especially given the variable, esoteric nature of the plot. At the same time, it showcased some of the biggest problems with the movie's very existence and how it felt like a somewhat forced part of the brand. Yeah, you don't need hobbits. They tried to force them into... They tried to force them into the Rings of Power where they didn't really belong. They weren't important with the Harfoots, and it's stupid. And they tried to force Gandalf in there where he doesn't belong. Just all of it. It's like that stupid Solo movie that they made for Star Wars where they're like, oh, we need to explain why his last name is Solo. We need to explain where he got the Millennium Falcon, even though we know. We need to see where he got his little dice that he hangs from the rear view mirror. Like, oh my gosh, who cares?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
And the Rings of Power does it in such a stupid, uninteresting way, too, that also does not go along with Tolkien's lore. And this breaks lore, which is what people have been screaming about for like 4 years with the Rings of Power. So what does WB do? They come right in and they do it as well. Yikes. I thought they were going to say hold my beer, but apparently they did, just not in the proper way. The events of Lord of the Rings and War of the Rohirrim take place nearly 200 years before the main story of the franchise. It's based on appendices by Tolkien himself, though there are some elements of the movie that definitely changed canon. In the new animated film, Hera, the film's protagonist, is embroiled in battle defending Rohan's people against the army led by her ex-childhood friend, Wolf, who, by the way, she's better than in every single way.
Of course.
In the end, Hera Hammerhand defeats Wolf in battle. Spoiler, sorry. Though this conflicts with Tolkien's original text. By making this change, the movie's fidelity strikes a fierce line in the sand compared to previous films in the franchise concerning accuracy to the source material. It's not the only major difference between these movies, rather, especially given the absence of certain species of Middle-earth creatures. Blah, 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 blah. So the whole article is about we need more hobbits. I don't think that would have... Adding hobbits in wouldn't have made this better, wouldn't have made people give a crap more. You're still breaking lore. You're... And the way they're breaking lore isn't interesting and new and innovative, whatever. And they say, well, Peter Jackson's films weren't exactly like the books. Like, no, but they were really close and they didn't, like, deviate from the spirit of the source material. This does. Completely. And that's what Tolkien fans have been, like I said, screaming about with the Rings of Power for years. So you're going to keep doing that from your side as well. Cool, whatever. If you want to lose money, And now they're going to do the Hunt for Gollum live-action movie. Hopefully that one is a little closer to the lore, but like we don't really need a whole effing feature-length movie about that. We don't need a new trilogy, whatever. There are other things to explore in the Tolkien world that are interesting. This could have been like a little short story or something like that, like it was. But you made it into a feature-length anime film that is just derivative. It's derivative and boring. That's all I can say. But anyway, that's all I got to say about the War of the Rohirrim or whatever. I don't really give a crap about lack of hobbits. I could give a damn less about that. But let me know down in the comment section. Do you think that's what was missing from this film? We needed more hobbits? Or would that have made it better? Would millions of more dollars came pouring into the box office internationally and domestically and saved this film? Or do you think them breaking lore? You can hear my dog. My dog has some comments on this matter. But for the rest of you, let me know down in the comment section. Did you watch this movie? Are you going to watch this movie? Do you give a damn about it? Have you ever... When you saw the trailer, did you care? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, if you want to read the articles I covered, they're down in the video description, the links to them. And please share this video around to everyone you know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell to be notified every time we post brand new content. I'm Troy for the Marks on Media. I will see you next time.